What's up MMA fans, and today I'm going to be talking about Francis Ngannou versus Cain Velasquez. But before I get into it, please help supporting me by subscribing, and a massive thank you to you if you already have. Let's try and get this channel to 200 subscribers by the end of February, so share it with your friends or other MMA fans and let's grow this community together, and then I can continue to do these breakdowns and other videos for you to enjoy. First off, we have Francis Ngannou, who's coming off a huge win against Curtis Blaydes, a top contender in the heavyweight division, to regain respect in the division and put him back into the title contention after he lost in his title shot against Stipe Miocic and then had a really boring fight against Derek Lewis, where I don't think he actually threw any punches really and didn't take much damage either. There was a fight where the fans were really looking forward to some fireworks in the heavyweight division, but it led to a huge anticlimax because nothing really happened in the fight, and Ngannou came out saying that he needed a sports therapist and his hype train was kind of fully derailed. But he recently had a match against a really tough wrestler in Curtis Blaydes, who had just beaten over him and was looking amazing. And I was expecting Curtis to just kind of wrestle Ngannou and win that fight pretty handily using the blueprint that Stipe made for beating Ngannou. But Francis knocked him out cold in like 30 seconds, which I think was a massive result for Francis. He's now regained his confidence, has reminded us what makes him so dangerous. So I think that with that in mind, we're probably going to see a Francis Ngannou who isn't going to be scared to pull the trigger against Cain, and will be sort of headhunting and looking for that big knockout in the early rounds. And I think the key to success in this fight will be that pure intimidation factor and getting that big knockout. And if he goes into this fight with any feelings of self-doubt or fear that he's going to be wrestled, then it's going to be a really bad night for him. But with the Blaydes win, it was quite obvious that Blaydes was going to go for a takedown and try and wrestle out a decision, or take it into the late rounds, so big props to Francis for taking that fight, and showing the fans that he can still knock anyone out, and that he's still that dangerous. The way that Francis is going to be able to beat Cain is going to be a first or second round knockout, guys. If it goes any further than that, then this fight is not going to be in favour of him, because as we saw against Stipe, he really gassed in those later rounds, and that's probably due to his size and sheer muscle mass. After a few rounds, the lactic acid just builds up, and his striking isn't sharp or snappy enough to be able to catch someone and get a knockout, especially with someone who's got good boxing and head movement like Stipe Miocic, and I'm sure it'll be the same against Velasquez. So really, Ngannou has got to conserve his energy and seize the opportunity catching Cain on his way in for the takedown. He definitely has a puncher's chance, and we don't know how Cain will perform with his long layoff, so we really don't know how Cain has been doing in training, how well he's recovered after his 140 surgeries or whatever that was, and if he's still the same fighter that he used to be, if it's the old Cain, then I think Ngannou is going to be in a lot of trouble. But Ngannou is a bit of a freak athlete, guys, and this is a fight game, so one punch is all it takes, and especially in the heavyweight division where everybody hits so hard. And this is why heavyweight champions don't usually last long in terms of their title reigns, because everyone basically knocks out everyone, which to me makes it a really exciting division. I mean, DC is a champ, but he'll probably retire after a couple of more super fights. And then we have the rest of the heavyweight division who are really hungry to get the title back, or to finally earn the title that they've been working for their whole careers. Then we have Cain Velasquez, the former champion, who is an absolute beast and a fan favourite for a very good reason. Cain is arguably the heavyweight GOAT, and it's really unfortunate that injuries and these sort of bone spurs on the spine have kept him from competing for so long. So we'll assume that he's back to normal, but just bear in mind things like ring rust and perhaps nerves against a fierce competitor like Francis after such a long time of being in the octagon. But what Cain was really good at was keeping such a good pace against his opponents. You know, he was fast, strong, and had knockout power, but one of his best assets was his amazing wrestling. And he's got amazing credentials to do with wrestling as well. If you look at each fighter's respective records as well, then Cain has fought a lot of big names compared to Francis Ngannou too. So I think it's fair to say that Cain is a more experienced fighter at that high level, with Ngannou only fighting for the title once, and then fighting a few top competitors in Alistair Overeem and Curtis Blaydes. So Cain really has to utilise his wrestling, and basically just follow the same plan that Stipe did, which was to wrestle Ngannou up against the cage, and then just rest his body weight against Ngannou so he can't get up and gasses out. Because Ngannou's wrestling game was pretty exposed in the fight against Stipe. He was just trying to get up by exploding upwards and wasn't using technique at all. And if you've ever wrestled before, then you know that if someone's on top of you and you just try and explode up without using any technique, you're not going anywhere and you just get tired really quickly. So Cain basically has to tie him down and slap his arms to make Ngannou really sluggish and make him telegraph his punches. and that's when I think that Cain's boxing is going to catch Ngannou in the later rounds. There's one fight where Cain actually gassed against Verdum, but there are reasons for that I won't go into today. But supposing that Cain shows up in top form, I think he's got this fight. And you know, Cain has such a good style of like cardio and pace that just reflects his work ethic, and the ethic of AKA, which is really hard training. And I think we could very easily see Cain take out Ngannou with that style. But it's kind of like opposites. We have Ngannou, who's a guy with really that power, that one punch power. He has the ability to knock you out in one punch, but quickly loses that snap and his speed. And then you have Cain, who has a little bit less power, but a lot of volume and a lot of output. You know, testing your cardio and not giving you a break. So it's a hard fight to call, but I would say that if Cain is in good shape and the ring rust doesn't affect him too much, then he's going to overwhelm him and maybe actually get the finish in the late rounds. Because we might see some holes in Ngannou's striking defense too. I would also hope that since the Stipe fight that Ngannou has made some changes to his wrestling game, at least improved his technique getting up when taken down, defending the hands and using the cage to get himself back up. But we haven't really seen much of his ground game in his last two fights since that Stipe fight. I guess the best defense against a takedown is knocking someone out cold anyway, so let's see if he can do that against the former champion in Cain Velasquez. Guys, I'm going to do a prediction that Cain will get the finish in later rounds. I'm pretty convinced that there's a big gap in skill between the two fighters, but I've been wrong before when doubting Ngannou against Curtis Blades, so let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Also, I'd like to give a big shout out to Mind for Combat because he does awesome breakdowns of fights too, so go check out his content. I'll leave a link to his channel below. Guys, please sub if you haven't already, and I'll keep making these videos for you. I have a lot coming up for UFC 235, so stay tuned. I've been MMA HeadSpace. You've been amazing as always. Peace out.